You've probably seen a headline like this, right? It's a story we hear all the time, a fear that kind of lurks in the background of modern relationships. But what if we've been blaming the wrong thing all along? So let's get right into it. Well, it turns out the research says something totally different. When a relationship starts to crack under these kinds of financial shifts, money isn't really the weapon. It's just the trigger. The real problem is something much, much deeper, something happening inside our own heads. And that right there is the key phrase, identity stagnation. Think about it. It's what happens when the world around you changes, your job, your income, your daily routine, but your internal idea of who you are, well, that gets stuck in the past. And it's this psychological friction that causes the real damage. So how does this actually play out? Well, it shows up as 4 main types of friction. Let's break them down. All right, first up, we've got a really subtle but incredibly powerful shift that can happen almost without you even realizing it. It's called value drift. And the really tricky part? This whole thing is usually unconscious. A couple that used to be all about late-night talks and planning their future together might slowly start to care more about individual career moves and the stuff that money can buy. The very ground they built their relationship on starts to shift beneath their feet. And you can see how this plays out in real life. The whole focus just moves from us to me. Those amazing, deep conversations that make you feel connected, they get replaced by what the source material calls a conversational mismatch. It's like you're both talking, but you're not on the same frequency anymore. You're just not connecting about the things that actually matter. Okay, let's talk about the second friction. This one's about a burden that's often totally invisible, but man, is it heavy. I'm talking about the mental load. This is such a perfect term for something so many people feel but just can't put their finger on. Sustained social monitoring. It's like having this app running in the background of your brain 24/7, remembering the birthdays, scheduling the dentist appointments, planning the meals, knowing whose turn it is to take out the trash. It's all the invisible work of running a life. And this is where things can get really dangerous. See, when a woman becomes the main breadwinner, but also keeps carrying this huge mental load, it's a fast track to burnout. Her nervous system just never gets a chance to power down. It's always on, which leads to what's called caregiver fatigue, a state of just complete and total exhaustion, emotionally and physically. Okay, so now let's flip the script and look at how these role shifts can affect her partner. And this isn't about someone being lazy or resentful. It's way deeper than that. It's about a fundamental psychological need. Just think about that phrase for a second, recovery space. For a lot of people, home is the one place in the world where they feel like they're in control, where their role is clear and it's valued. It's where they can go to recharge their batteries from all the pressure of the outside world. So what happens when that role gets shaky, when the financial dynamic flips? It can kick off this thing called evaluation anxiety. It's basically this deep down fear that your core value, the very thing that makes you a good partner, is now on trial. It's not just about ego. It's a real stress response tied to a threat to your identity. All right, our last friction point isn't just about what's happening inside the home. It's about the pressure coming from, well, everywhere else. It's about the life scripts we're all expected to follow. You know, we all have this kind of invisible life script in our heads, right? You're supposed to hit certain milestones by a certain age, your career should look a certain way, and when your reality doesn't match that script, it creates this quiet internal battle, a conflict between who you actually are and who you think you're supposed to be. And here's a really interesting twist. For people who already feel like they're marching to the beat of a different drum, this conflict can be even tougher. They're already pushing back against society's expectations, and now they're wrestling with their own sense of where they fit in the world.
Okay, so we've talked about all this friction and conflict. It sounds pretty grim, right? But what's the solution? How do you get through it? Well, the research points to one single, incredibly powerful psychological skill.
It all comes down to one thing: cognitive flexibility. Honestly, this is like a mental superpower. It's the ability to adapt, to change your mind about things, to update your beliefs about what it means to be a husband or a wife, and to redefine your role in a relationship, all without feeling like you're losing the core of who you are. So how do you actually do that? How do you practice it? Well, first, you've got to consciously look at your old beliefs about roles and be willing to update them. Second, you have to redefine how you bring value. Maybe it's not just about money anymore. Maybe it's about emotional support, or time, or managing the household. And crucially, this is a big one. You have to untangle your identity from your job title. Your worth is not your paycheck.
So at the end of the day, what this all really tells us is that the money was never the real problem. The real problem is just change. A shift in income is just one of many ways our lives can get turned upside down. And that leaves us with a really big question to ask ourselves. When your world gets shaken up, does your identity bend or does it break?